We finished our evening at the orphanage, and then the next day we headed to Ghana. It is a national park in Zimbabwe, and it is a place where you can see all kinds of wildlife. Visiting this park and seeing Africa in the wild had to be one of the highlights of the trip. Seeing the elephants in their natural habitat was amazing, but we also saw numerous other animals. And the park was full of the famous baobab trees. Not only was seeing the animals a treat, but the park itself was humongous. It ranged from prairie lands to wonderful cliff formations near the river. And speaking of the river was full of hippos, which are actually one of Africa's most dangerous animals. But I just couldn't get enough of seeing all the elephants. We were lucky enough to see a lot of zebra as well, and also a Cape buffalo. In one area, we saw some giraffes who were eating from the tops of the trees. These were majestic animals, and it was awesome just seeing them in person. Here's some more pictures of the zebras we encountered. I love trying to get pictures of each and every animal that we saw. This is one of my favorite pictures that was taken during our safari day. And these are some more pictures of the cliffs formations around the river. Africa is truly a beautiful place, and Zimbabwe will always hold a special place in my heart. That day that we were on safari, we traveled around in a truck that had a cab. 4 of us rode in the back. One of the things I will never forget is during our trip we had 2 flat tires, and this is some of the guys in our group changing those tires. This is a picture of most of the group that traveled with us to Zimbabwe. And here's a picture of a few of us that rode in the back of the truck. And here's the rest. Ghana is a fabulous place, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to visit. The next day was Sunday, and we went to church. After church, we went out to a restaurant to eat, and I had an interesting meal. That Sunday night, we decided to go up Baobab Mountain. It is a mountain near Chiretsi that is just full of baobab trees. The sunset from there was amazing. I also got a little workout in while I was on Baobab Mountain. Here are just some pictures of some of the baobab trees. The views were spectacular. The next day, we stopped by the orphanage one more time before leaving Chiretsi. We then headed to the Great Zimbabwe National Monument, which is a ruins area, and it was proclaimed a World Heritage Site. In the parking lot to get in, we saw some monkeys playing around with a bus. At first, I wasn't sure what I would think about the ruins, but it was an amazing sight to see. The ruins are a place where an ancient civilization lived in Zimbabwe, and it was the heart of the country. In fact, the country of Zimbabwe is named after these ruins. The ruins had a couple different areas. There was a large, massive structure up on the top of a hill or a small mountain, and that is where the king and the nobles lived. And then down in the valley was the place where most of the common people lived, and we've got to tour both of these areas. The view from where the king had his palace was amazing, and he could look down on all of his subjects in the walled city where they lived. One of the highlights of visiting the ruins was we had a local guide who told us about all of the history of the ruins, and it was a fascinating story to hear. After finishing up our time at the top where the king stayed, we traveled back down the stairs to go visit the area where the common people lived inside the walls of the ruins below. As we were leaving the ruins, we had to stop and take a few more pictures of the monkeys that we saw that were out in the parking lot. And then we headed to our hotel, which was close by, the Great Zimbabwe Hotel. It is one of the nicer hotels in all of Zimbabwe, and in fact, Queen Elizabeth and Lady Di have both stayed here in the past. The Great Zimbabwe Hotel had beautiful landscaping, and it was a wonderful place to spend the evening. One of the highlights was that they had showers here. And like we talked about before, showers are hard to come by in Zimbabwe. Here is just some pictures of the hotel and the area around it. I stayed in room 12, and here's a picture of my key. And here's a few pictures of my room. As you can see, it was a beautiful day, and we had a great time at the Great Zimbabwe Hotel. And we had a great time visiting the Great Zimbabwe Ruins and National Monument. It was a perfect way to end our trip. Zimbabwe, I'm going to miss you. Until next time.